Have you ever imagined sworn enemies calling a truce for a reason as wild as, well, wild wolves? Today, we're diving into the almost mythical Tannenberg wolf truce of World War I, where soldiers faced a threat more menacing than each other. It's a tale that blurs the lines between folklore and history, where the harsh realities of war met the untamed ferocity of nature in an unexpected alliance. Let's set the stage. World War I, a conflict that engulfed nations and redrew maps. Now cast your eyes to the Eastern Front, a sprawling battlefield far from the trenches of the Western Front. Here, amidst the dense forests and biting cold of Tannenberg, soldiers not only battled each other but also braved the relentless fury of nature. As winter tightened its grip, the woods around Tannenberg became a frozen labyrinth, a battleground scarred by warfare, yet hauntingly beautiful. This harsh and unforgiving landscape played a crucial role in what was about to unfold. It was in these very woods that a unique and extraordinary chapter of the war was written. One where the enemy wasn't just the opposing forces, but a more primal and unpredictable force. A tale so bizarre it seems more like legend than reality. But as we'll see, truth can sometimes be stranger than fiction. In the midst of war's chaos, a new, unexpected threat emerged in Tannenberg's frozen woods. As battles raged and soldiers marched, the natural order of the wilderness was disrupted. Starvation and the harsh winter conditions drove wolves out of their hidden dens in search of food, leading to the rise of formidable wolf packs. These weren't your average wolves. They were larger, bolder, and more aggressive than anyone had seen before. Driven by desperation, they roamed the snow-covered landscape, their haunting howls echoing through the trees. Tales of their ferocity spread among the troops, adding a layer of dread to an already grim situation. The wolves didn't discriminate between Russian or German uniforms. They were equal opportunity predators. Their attacks became more frequent and deadly, turning the dense forest into a perilous maze. Soldiers recounted chilling encounters, shadows darting through the trees, eerie eyes glowing in the dark, sudden ambushes in the dead of night. The wolves were not just scavengers of the dead, they were hunters, stalking the living. It was a grim reminder that in the wilderness of Tannenberg, man was not the only hunter. This growing threat forced the soldiers to adapt. Watchfires burned brighter, sentries doubled, and patrols became tense, watchful treks through the woods. The very presence of these wolves challenged the norms of warfare. In this frozen, hostile environment, a new kind of battle was emerging, one where the lines between soldier and survivor blurred. In the shadowed, frost-bitten forests of Tannenberg, amidst the brutal chaos of World War I, a most extraordinary event unfolded. The relentless, menacing threat of wolf packs, driven to aggression by the harshness of war and winter, brought Russian and German soldiers to an unthinkable decision. A truce. This was not a truce brokered in the halls of power or through diplomatic channels. It was a truce born out of primal survival, a silent mutual nod across the snowy battlefield, acknowledging a shared, more pressing enemy. Imagine this surreal turn of events. Battle-hardened soldiers who days before were locked in deadly combat now faced a common foe in the form of nature's own predators. Initially, there was skepticism, a disbelief that the situation could drive them to this point. But as the wolves' attacks intensified, necessity bridged the divide of language and ideology. A series of cautious, tentative interactions marked the beginning of this bizarre alliance. Soldiers used hand signals, shared wary glances, and even in a silent agreement, coordinated their efforts against the wolf packs. The wolves, large, cunning, and relentless, forced the soldiers to adapt. Patrols were now carried out with an eye towards defense against these four-legged adversaries. Campfires, once a beacon for enemy artillery, became necessary to ward off the nocturnal threats. The harsh conditions of the Eastern Front had created an environment where the enemy was not the man pointing a rifle from the other side, but the pack of wolves lurking in the shadows of the forest. This unique truce, a testament to human adaptability, turned erstwhile foes into reluctant allies in a battle against a shared, unpredictable danger. The everyday existence of the soldiers transformed under the weight of this unusual alliance. The forest, a landscape of both haunting beauty and imminent danger, became the unlikely setting for this unprecedented cooperation. They patrolled together in uneasy silence, always alert to the sounds of the forest, the crack of a twig or the distant howl signifying danger. Setting traps and keeping night watches became joint efforts, blurring the lines between enemy and ally. There were moments, undoubtedly rare and fleeting, where a shared sense of humor emerged, a brief respite from the tension of both the war and their current predicament. Yet, despite these instances of camaraderie, the underlying reality of war never faded. Each soldier knew that this truce was born of necessity, not choice, and could dissolve as quickly as it had formed. Friendships were not forged, but a certain level of mutual respect developed. The shared goal of survival against the wolves created a bond, albeit a temporary and fragile one. As the days passed, the unusual nature of their situation began to feel almost normal. Soldiers found themselves adapting to this new reality, where the enemy was not the one in a different uniform, but the one with fur and fangs. The truce, while it lasted, offered a glimpse into the complexities of human nature and conflict, where survival can turn foes into allies, however briefly, in the face of a greater common enemy. The wolves, driven by hunger and emboldened by the disruption of their natural habitat, became increasingly daring. Their attacks were not isolated incidents, but coordinated assaults, often under the cover of night, plunging the soldiers into a state of constant vigilance. Soldiers recounted tales of wolves emerging from the fog, their eyes reflecting the light of the fires, their snarls cutting through the cold air. In these moments, the soldiers' training kicked in, their actions no longer driven by national allegiance but by the raw instinct to survive. They fought side by side, their gunfire merging into a single, desperate defense. There were moments of heroism and terror, a German soldier saving his Russian counterpart from a wolf's lunge, or a Russian sniper picking off a particularly aggressive alpha wolf that had been terrorizing both groups. These were moments that transcended the ordinary narratives of war, where the immediate threat forged a bond stronger than any nationalistic ideology. Amidst these battles, the soldiers learned to anticipate and counter the wolves' tactics. They set traps and ambushes, learning from each other's experiences. The shared knowledge between these unlikely allies became their greatest weapon against the wolves. Through these harrowing encounters, the soldiers gained a grudging respect for their four-legged adversaries and, perhaps, for each other. As the winter months began to wane in the Tannenberg region, the situation that had brought Russian and German soldiers together against a common enemy began to change. The wolf packs, their numbers dwindling due to the combined efforts of the soldiers, became less of a threat. With the primary reason for their alliance fading, the unique truce that had united former enemies started to unravel. Patrols that once included soldiers from both sides began to separate, reverting to their respective lines. The shared glances and nods, once signs of a mutual struggle, became scarce. The atmosphere of camaraderie, born out of necessity, gave way to the re-emerging reality of war. It was a return to the status quo, where the man across the battlefield was once again the enemy, not the ally. This return to hostilities was not marked by a significant event or a formal end to the truce. It was more a slow drift back to the familiar rhythms of war. The joint efforts against the wolves became memories, stories to be told in the quiet moments between battles. The end of the truce in Tannenberg was a poignant reminder of the transient nature of alliances in war. Historically, this event is more than just a curious footnote in the annals of war. It serves as a powerful example of how, even in the darkest times, common challenges can bring together the unlikeliest of allies. The truce demonstrated that amidst the chaos and brutality of war, moments of cooperation and understanding can emerge, however fleetingly. It's a tale that challenges our understanding of enmity and cooperation, reminding us of the extraordinary circumstances where humanity can emerge in the most unexpected places. What other incredible stories of wartime alliances do you know? Share them in the comments below.